Misfits is here. We're alive and well. We've just done the biggest numbers we've ever done with Darren Till. Well, this is the crazy thing. I think HS is 1 or 2 fights away from getting $1 million plus per fight. And people think I'm crazy, but I know what I see.
This story you have, Wade's the hero, Aaron's the anti-hero, and HSTikkyTokky's the villain. I mean, you've got the cast right there.
There might be one missing cast member that might be introduced at some point.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Misfits News. I'm your host, Ben the Bane Davis. As always, joined by my co-host, PL. We've got some big updates in the world of crossover combat sport. The next Misfits event, question marks around when it'll be. But before we get into all of that, I got to take it to BL. BL, how are you?
Ben, I'm doing fantastic, but I've seen something on social media. You're on a reality TV show. What's this about?
What's going on? The debut of Ben the Bane Davis on reality TV. I will be on season 41 of MTV's The Challenge. It's MTV's longest running reality show. I had such an amazing time. Me and fellow Misfits boxer Jake Cornish, funnily enough, were cast, and you can't miss it. July 30th, it's all going to be there.
What sort of made you want to do this? Because obviously you've gone into fighting, you've gone into commentary, and now going into reality TV on The Challenge. Why do this, Ben?
Well, you just sort of pointed it out. I like to describe myself as the ultimate opportunist, and I want to turn over every single stone that I can. This was something that I just couldn't turn down, and hopefully can be a further diversification in what I'm up to, what I put my energy and focus in. And listen, I think that after this season, there'll be a couple more seasons. But talking about what's coming, right? We've got a fantastic interview, some exclusives with the main man himself. Let's take it to our chat with Mams Taylor. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Misfits News. We've got a very special episode to hopefully clear up the air. The rumor mill is just spiraling right now. There is so much controversy surrounding what's been going on at Misfits. So we figured we'd bring in the main man himself. It's the head honcho, Mams Taylor, back in the booth. Mams, how are you?
I'm great. I'm doing great. Very hot out here, but it's nice to be in you guys' company, and it's not as hot as Misfits about to be as well. So
I love it. Well, let's sort of just dig right into it. Where is Misfits? There has been so many people asking for updates. The rumored Miami event on August 2nd, is it no longer happening? Is there any definite concrete updates we can get on the next event?
Well, updates are coming very soon, but this is a major announcement exclusively for you guys and not Fred.
Thanks. We appreciate that. He gets a lot of them. He gets a lot of the exclusives. It's about time we get something.
I'll give you some kind of exclusive, Fredericks. But basically, Misfits is repackaging behind the scenes, a lot going on. We are going to do for Misfits, the crossover brand, the #1 crossover space in boxing, 6 events per year. And the reason for that is there will be no filler fights. And if you want to fight on Misfits and you think you've got a big name and you've got a good Instagram following, great. But if you don't perform, if you don't help bring eyeballs, if you're not promoting, guess what? There's only limited spaces in the year now. It's being drastically reduced for that reason. Quality control all the way. So it's not a matter of like, okay, this guy's, and I'm not going to name and shame, but this guy's got a big following, but he doesn't promote because he doesn't think he needs to. Good for you. Go fight somewhere else. And if you don't want to fight, then don't fight. But Misfits Boxing, crossover boxing, a lot of it is to do with influencer base and influencing. And that comes with promotion. It's content creators. It's people who create content for a living, but then when they want to fight on Misfits, they forget that they create content.
Right.
So then, they'll post a flyer here and there, but they don't get involved. And again, everyone has their own style. Salt Papi doesn't go around shit talking to people and, cussing their mothers and things like that. He's a class act, and that's his persona. I would never want him to change that. But he promotes. He does his videos. He does his TikToks. He does his whatever he does. Then you've got someone else on the other side of the spectrum. Of course, Dylan Dennis. I don't agree with everything he does for his promotion, but he's highly engaged and promotes. He knows that he's trying to sell a fight. So
Right.
those two extreme ends of the spectrum and everything in between that isn't lazy, that isn't forced, and it's creative. And that's what that space is all about. That's what it's always been about. And honestly, I've got people that I like that I want to work with, but even some of the people I like, they don't push, they don't have any pull. So I'm not going to be just putting fillers on cards anymore. It's going to be fights you guys want to see. And I prefer to create the anticipation and not have an event every month where people take it for granted. And they have.
Right.
I'll be honest with you. This is the most thankless job I've ever had. Okay? Fighters complain, 90% of them, not all of them, they complain about whatever you're trying to do. And not all of them, again, there are fighters who are very gracious, very humble. A lot of the audience, not all of them, a lot of them are just like, oh, this card sucks or whatever. And then, they enjoy it and watch it. But it's time to make this product reach its potential and be as special as it was meant to be. And that is all about story. It's all about star development. So the rebranding, the repackaging, it's subtle in terms of Misfits is still Misfits, and it's still going to go on a very, very strong. But it's time for some serious growth. We're very happy with the numbers we've done for the last few shows. They've all steadily increased and broken records of our previous numbers. And we're absolutely obliterating anyone else in this space and even in the traditional space in many regards, So the consistency has been lacking. And we've been behind the scenes concocting something that's going to get people excited, that's going to have consistency. And yes, again, my plan is always to announce as far out as possible, okay? But I think, we have partners that have a say in how that works with announcements and dates and things like that. So my promise to you guys is that I will get this done, no matter how long it takes me. I will get it done where we're at a point where we're like, hey, here is the schedule for the year ahead. We're going to be in Tempe, Arizona on this day. We're going to be in Chicago on this date. We're going to be in Bristol on that date. We're going to, whatever. And, these are made up locations. I'm just saying. Okay, before people say, oh, you're coming to Tempe. I like Tempe. But that's the point. I think it's time to really, really get this shit organized. And a lot of it's not been in our hands. But also, what can we do? My question is always, I've never got the mentality of like, okay, it's other people's fault. Okay, what can I do to still fucking counteract that and make it work regardless? All right, so that's what we've been doing behind the scenes. We're really, really taking the quality control to another level. So fighters, you're on notice. If you really want to fight for Misfits, and it's not just like, okay, this guy's cool, but he's got 4 people that retweet him or 4 people that like him or whatever. That's great, but I have to now think of the business more than ever. I want us to grow.
Yeah, I hear it. Needle movers only, which I agree with completely. A few follow-up questions, starting off with the pro side of things. How does that impact them? Because I think most people would say, look, I get that they're decorated professionals and they're high-level boxers, but if we're talking about needle movers, I'm sorry, but some of these pros just don't draw interest to these cards or affect viewership in a meaningful manner over maybe another, content creator, influencer that we could bring in.
I agree to some degree, but like I said, pros are going to be a different entity. By next year, I'm giving myself room, hopefully way before. By next year, we will have a separation of those products. And
so that's not part of the 6 events. That's not the pros. That's separate from the 6 events from Misfits.
The pros will be just pro fights and pro fighters.
Okay.
And the MMA will be, that's the vision. That's always been the vision. But we wanted to sprinkle the pros and continue to sprinkle them on so they get some airtime. They get some visibility on a proven product that's Misfits Boxing that has a shit ton of viewers and a great solid fan base. So that's the plan. The pro cards will be the pro cards. The MMA cards will be the MMA cards, you know? And then you're going to get Misfits, the core product that we've been in business with for coming up to 3 years now. So that's the plan. But some of our pros, take Ty Mitchell. We don't. There's no one who's sold more individual tickets from a ticket link than that guy. He makes more from that than sometimes his purse. You know, he gets paid well, but that guy sells. That guy has a lot of interest. Amir Anderson, definitely moving in the right direction, you know? Watch this space for Jahan. There's some special things happening for him. And we got a couple of other pros, a couple of other really huge announcements with that space. And one of the pros we're signing already has a following. And this guy is a crazy future world champ. Like, for sure. I'll put my house on that. This guy's extremely exceptional as a talent.
I'm guessing it's Ryan Boland, though.
Yeah.
Of course.
I'm guessing it's Ryan Boland.
Yeah. He's a nice guy. Shout out to Ryan.
I do want to take the conversation back to that August 2nd rumored date, and if there's any clarity or transparency you can provide, because I believe initially it was July.
I never said August 2nd.
Okay.
What I do behind the scenes to try to make dates happen is only private information, right? We've made a mistake before of getting overzealous and announcing a date. So what? And basically that date doesn't come to fruition, and then people talk and they're like, but this has happened many times, and it happens in boxing in general, and pretty much a lot of people experience this in this space where they're like, so yes, August 2nd was talked about, but it didn't work between fighters. They weren't able to. We want, this guy's free, this guy's not. It doesn't work. And especially when it's now becoming, the whole card's going to be meaningful. Every fight card is going to have a meaningful fight with a meaningful story or something that's going to make sense, essentially, and basically drawing the viewers to be excited about it, because it's not just a random putting two guys together kind of thing, Right.
There's intentionality.
There's intentionality, whether it's for the title, whether it's personal, whether it's something about the rankings, whether it's they got history, whatever it is, there's got to be story there. And that's always been the heart of really the most successful influencer fights. Yes, look, sometimes you have to make an exception and you're like, okay, this guy pulled out. I need a fighter at 155. Who's around? This fight will be fun to watch. So at least there's some reason there. It's not like just, I always visualize if it's going to be a good fight, if it's going to be entertaining, if the lead up's going to be good. And it has to check at least a few of the boxes, not all of them in every case, And I couldn't be more excited for this now, because it gives us time. We don't need to rush. So everyone can chill out. Misfits is here. We're alive and well. We've just done the biggest numbers we've ever done with Darren Till headlining twice in a row on a non-pay-per-view. And the future's very bright, and it's just more calculated, and there's more thought put into everything. So we are in the business of building stars, and that's a big priority, storytelling and building stars. And I think we're in a good place. I'm honestly very excited about it.
Last one, before we move on to a couple different topics that we want to chat with you about. So there's not anything at this time, maybe specific, that can be shared about the next event to maybe ease some of the viewers or the Misfits fans.
Well, I think what I've just said should ease their minds a little bit, but
in an abstract sense, yes. But
I mean, I can't get specific because this is where I get in trouble. And honestly, it's when fighters go out and I say, "Hey, are you available on April the 16th, for example, or whatever?" And they say, "Yeah, that works for me." I'm like, all right, I'm going to try and get you a fight with Mr. X. Then they suddenly go on stream and say, I'm fighting on fucking April 16th. That's not how it's supposed to go. So,
I agree.
And that's what pisses me off, because the next thing you know, people are like, oh, there was supposed to be a fight, but it canceled. Oh, it's in Liverpool. Oh, it's here, it's there. I haven't released any information. So if you don't hear it from Misfits or you guys, any real Misfits affiliation, preferably from my mouth, or on the Misfits account, or on an interview like this, which is on a Misfits account, then do not take it as gospel. When you see a fake flyer that looks good, some good graphic design, awesome. I like it too. I enjoy it. I enjoy people's imagination, putting their time and effort into Misfits. It's great, but it's not gospel until it comes out of the horse's mouth.
It's not canon, baby. It's expanded universe. It's, it's not canon.
As someone that's been doing a lot of talking, I mean, a lot of rumor mill, is Darren Till. He's saying a lot of people have been avoiding his fights. He's saying rumors of Manchester here, the other. So, yes, we can't listen to what he has to say. So, Mams, maybe you can clarify what is going on with Darren Till right now.
Yeah, so Darren Till's a star. A lot of people do want to fight him. A lot of people know that he's a risk as well. So, we want to. My thing is, I want to give Darren. He went from AT, which was to a lot of fans. They voted that AT was going to win in their predictions. I don't know if you guys remember.
Yeah, even myself, I believed AT was going to win.
Yeah, a lot of people did. And then he went to Darren Stewart, and man, that was an awesome, epic fight, and it was a tough fight, very tough fight. So our whole thing with Darren is we want him to keep taking bigger challenges, bigger names, and yeah, it's it takes time to put those kinds of things together and get it right. But we've got some good ones in the pipeline for him, and it's all coming together. It just takes time.
At the start of the year, it was actually originally booked Tommy Fury versus Darren Till. Unfortunately, that fight fell through because Tommy Fury was worried about getting kicked to the head, which is unfortunate because I think a lot of people were excited for that. And I don't know whether you had any updates for us to say maybe we can see Tommy Fury return to Misfits Boxing. He did this random event in the middle of the year, and we haven't really heard much from him.
Look, I don't know when we'll see Tommy Fury versus Darren Till, but I think that's one that people really, really would get excited about. But I'm confident we'll see Tommy back on Misfits Boxing at some point. I am.
Now we had a couple big news events about Turki Al-Sheikh, right? Is there any more conversations with him and a potential KSI appearance on one of those cards? What does the nature of that look like?
We were reached out to fight this for KSI to fight this summer, but he's got his surgery happening at the end of July. Franco, we've got this surgery coming up at the end of July. So that's the priority, and then let's see what happens, and whatever the circumstances are and how JJ's feeling, that's the priority. So we'll go from there.
Can you shed any light on this surgery at the end of July? What the recovery timeline looks like? Maybe a bit more on the procedure that he needs?
If you ask a conservative doctor, they'll tell you 6 months.
Okay.
And if you ask fighters who have had similar surgeries, they might tell you 2 months. And it might be somewhere in between. So I think the main thing is Fred's doing this on purpose. Fred,
it's not me, bro. It's him.
So
we'll have to coordinate these interviews around Fred's time in the the Mams mansion.
Yeah, he just. By the way, I had no idea. I had no idea he was coming.
Oh, he just turned up to the door.
No, at 1 a.m. last night, my fiance told me, she's like, Fred's at the door. I'm like, which Fred? Were you our Fred? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, why did you know about this? She's like, yeah. Fred, why didn't you tell me you were coming?
You'll forget like last time.
I do forget things like that. But yeah, no, so he showed up with his red sweater. looking all dapper, and always a pleasure to have Frederick here anyway. But you guys beat him to this interview, so put it out. Like,
this
put it
Sunday,
out.
do not let him.
The problem is he's listening in and he's going to be live tweeting everything that gets discussed before we can
No,
edit
you're
this.
not.
Clipping
You want to do
it.
that?
There he
Live
is.
tweets, any of
I've
this.
just tweeted about the six events next year.
No, you have
And
not.
about KSI's hand.
No, you haven't.
Check Twitter.
You wouldn't do that.
It's just out right now.
No, you wouldn't
Oh
do
no,
that.
Mams, it's
I
out.
kind of
It's
just
out,
used that.
Mams. Damn
You're
it.
joking, right?
Yeah,
No,
I'm
he's
joking.
joking.
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Now, Mams, I don't know if you've seen Alex Wassabi recently posted a video announcing a retirement. Were you aware of this before? Is this retirement going to stick? I know so many people wanted that Deji rematch, but it seems like maybe that's finally gone.
I don't have a Deji rematch for him, but I've got something very fun, and let's see if I can coax him out of retirement, because I got to be honest, might be one of the nicest people in the world, this Alex Wassabi.
Yeah.
You know, he's just such a nice guy. I've got a good fight for him. People want to see him. If he's going to retire, have your retirement fight on Misfits, and let's make it a fun one.
Yeah. I know Deji, speaking of him, right, he just had that spar with Krogman in some London garden. What is next for Deji? Because he needs a bounce back.
Look, I love Deji. We represent Deji, and I always want to do what's in his best interest. But if I think the best version of Deji comes to life when he's under a lot of pressure.
Mhm.
So for me, there's no room for another warm-up fight or anything like that. I think he has to commit and just be like methodical and very committed to a schedule where he's training his ass off, and you can see those abs trying to come out again. You know, I want him in great shape, because I know that it helps mentally to be in great shape. It helps physically, it helps in every way. So I'm just waiting for Deji to say, look, I'm ready to do this, because he is talented and he could do really well, and he could have some massive mega fights too. He just needs to fight one or two more times, and good names, not, no disrespect to Dawood Savage, but obviously Deji's got to do better than that. And I know he can.
Mams, I want to pivot to someone that's been making headlines on Misfits Boxing. 2 million impressions. I mean, he is absolutely everywhere on the internet. It's Aaron the Plumber. He was around your house very recently. He's just signed as well. Can you talk to me about this character? You signed him. KSI made a tweet digging at Aiden Ross. Talk to me.
Aaron the Plumber, the number one pound for pound American Misfits boxer of the future.
I love it. I love it. What came about this signing? What made you go, Aaron the Plumber, we want you to Misfits?
I saw him on some random clip, and he was very entertaining, and he looks, he's very impressive. His physique and his you can tell he's got that like Mike Tyson explosiveness. Okay, comments, relax. I'm not comparing him to Mike Tyson. I'm just saying he's explosive. He's got that same fast twitch, muscle, energy, and I think he's going to do really well. He's a character. I just spoke to him about 30 minutes ago as well, about a few things. I think he could make a real name for himself in this space.
Where is the starting point for Aaron the Plumber? Can you provide a list of names of opponents that you guys have discussed? I mean, is there one that has locked in for Aaron?
Yes. He's going to get his feet wet against a name that's got a massive following, but is also as inexperienced as he is. You don't want to throw Aaron the Plumber against someone who's had more experience and put him off fighting. He's a big star in the making, So I think there's a lot of potential between him and Wade fighting at some point,
Down
maybe
the line,
for a second fight, third fight, second fight. I think there's a lot of potential between him and HSTikkyTokky. And I think there's potential, of course, between HSTikkyTokky and Wade too. HS and I still speak. I'm just waiting for him to hopefully get his issues under control, and
Yeah.
then we'll welcome him with open arms and bring him back. And again, these are three guys I've just mentioned, all have a lot of star power.
No, I agree with that completely. And we'll talk about HS in a moment. But last one on the Plumber. You mentioned that this initial debut will be against someone with a big name, similar experience level, but we can't get a hint as to who they are.
Absolutely not.
All righty. Let's take it to HSTikkyTokky. So most recently, HS has been talking about getting $1 million to fight. I'm sure he's just trying to drum up some social media views and create some conversation, but that's obviously absurd. I mean, what's the latest with HS?
Well, this is the crazy thing. I think HS is 1 or 2 fights away from getting $1 million plus per fight. And people think I'm crazy, but I know what I see. He's an absolute beast, and he brings heat. He has so much hate. What do you do when you have hate for someone? You go to their page, you visit their
You
page,
illegally stream. The problem is his fan base is all kids. How are they going to pay for a pay-per-view, ma'ams?
you'd be surprised. The HS effect is stronger than people know. Look, when you've got a personality that rubs people the wrong way and makes you laugh, makes you like them, it's that person that you look at and you say, and it's the same. Look, Aaron the Plumber, he has heat, he has haters, and he also
Mhm.
has people who find him hilarious and they love him. They love the guy. I mean, he was at my house and it was going through his DMs and it was like love, love, hate, hate, love, hate, hate, but it's just nonstop coming in, like a
Mhm.
factory of messages. Um, these guys, they have that potential. Wade too. Listen, not everybody loves Wade. Wade also he gets it. He understands. He's been a student of this space and a student of combat sports. The guy gets it. He knows how to
Yeah.
sell, and he plays into it. Look, he's the all-American good guy.
Right. He's this story you have. Wade's the hero. Aaron's the anti-hero, and HSTikkyTokky's the villain. I mean, you've got the
He's the
cast right
villain.
there.
We've got a super cast. There might be one missing cast member that might be introduced at some point, but we'll talk about
Ooh,
that soon.
the
Yeah,
Four
dude,
Horsemen.
oh man, we've got so many fun ones. And that's the only negative of having less shows is
Mhm.
because people are gonna have to wait their turn or people are gonna have to earn their turn. It's no more like it's no more like again, I'm not gonna name and shame anyone, but it's no more like, oh, this guy has 1 million followers, let's get him on. Yeah, but he doesn't do shit. We put him on twice
Right.
and he literally doesn't even he just posts a video of him at the gym once in a blue
Yeah, it
moon.
doesn't bring
There's
anything to
no,
the platform. Yeah.
go fight a traditional boxing show.
Now,
You
I,
know,
I want to ask one more follow up on HS because the thing with Aaron is, hey, you want him to have a debut that's fair and matchmake it accordingly. HS has had a fight; he's had a good performance. So when you think about next opponents for him, is it fast track right to Wade? Is it a step up from George Fensom for HS? What could be next for him?
well, I think HS has to fight Wade next, or
Next,
I
okay.
think that's the fight. Look, they've had one fight each,
Hmm.
and they both fought underdogs who were. They Let's face it, Wade was the favorite, and HS was the favorite. So they've both had a fight where they've been the highly favored to win the fight, and now we're in a place where I think it's got to be a head-to-head clash. And
Yeah.
look, if Wade wants to fight and HS is unavailable, Wade will fight someone else or vice versa. So it's at this point it's your fault if you don't get the experience because
Right.
they both, and Aaron, those three have an open invitation. They've got heat. I will put them on any show they want. You know,
Now, Mams, I'm really curious because we're going to have less events. There's some of these fighters and champions on Misfits that are currently holding on to the belt. Someone like Anison Gibb, who said he's not interested in coming back right now. What are we going to do about those fighters? What are we going to do with these championships? Because right now we've got some fighters that are holding it and other people aren't getting the opportunity to get the belt.
I'm gonna put together an interim belt. We're gonna have a fight for the interim belt very soon. It'll be between two people that I think are gonna be very exciting for you guys, for everyone. And then from there we'll see if Gib wants to unify those belts, it'll be great. Otherwise, the interim belt will turn into the official belt. And that's it. Look, Gib was very exciting. I think that was a fight that was talked about. It was one of the most talked about fights that we've had on the influencer scene altogether, on the crossover scene as well. And it happened. Gib won the fight. There's no reason right now to rematch Slim. I'd like to see Gib fight Salt Papi. I'd like to see Gib fight a couple of MMA guys, and explore the potential Gib has in taking this to another level. But if Gib doesn't want to fight, then, if his heart's not in it, then his heart's not in it. And obviously, we're not going to do a long drawn out John Jones situation.
John Jones ducking Aspinall. I love to see it. Now, ma'am, something I'm really curious about is what's your thoughts about this new emerging powerhouse, which is Brandrisk. A lot of people are talking about it. They're very active right now. What's your thoughts about them? Maybe we can face them down the line, Misfits versus Brandrisk.
I'm always open to discussions, but at the end of the day, I think it would be a smaller show where we have our influencers, our more serious guys are too what are we going to do? Just fight these guys? We have to match them fairly and equally. As much as, it's great to have a sweeping win against any other promotion, but it's just got to make sense. Right now, it doesn't make too much sense. But if we get our less active boxers who are more influencers, more in it for the fun, you get the Modines of the world and the Josh Tates and the little T Afghan. Yeah, we get guys like that who are less committed to boxing. Then I think we have something there that could be fun for a nice little show on the side. But let's give them time. They're doing their thing. Let's let them settle into their brand and find their feet and see how it goes.
I want to switch gears a little bit back to the 6 show per year outline for Misfits. Now, we've had 2 shows in 2025. Does that mean we've got 4 left for the remainder of the year?
I'm working on that right now. I've definitely got 3. I would like to do 4, so we stick to that 6. Obviously, the cancelled event definitely had a domino effect, and it's something we've recovered from, and we're doing really well. But it's something that did take its toll on our schedule, and massively. But from all things bad comes something good, and I'm more excited about this model, and I'm excited, and I think you're going to see fighters trying to actually really understand the opportunity that they've got and make the most of it, if they want to be a part of the show, rather than just do the basic minimum.
Of course. And one last one on KSI, right? With this surgery, potentially 2 to 6 months on the shelf. Have you guys had conversation about 2026 and what that comeback could look like? I know that there's a list of opponents that you guys are only going to be selecting from. Does any of those names have availability in Q1, Q2 next year?
There's conversations, but the most important thing is just seeing how KSI feels, how he's how he heals, how he feels, how he's getting on and getting, I know the enthusiasm is very, very key, and that's why the 6 potential opponents that he has lined up, if he, should he come back and fight, as whenever he's ready, those are the ones we focus on. That way he's motivated, fans are going to be excited, and we get something that collectively we can all be very, very excited about.
What is, out of curiosity, the school of thought behind keeping the 6-person hit list in the shadows? Is there a reason why we can't know the names of who KSI is interested in competing against?
I mean, look, I think people can guess most of the names, but
Yeah.
also it's when when you're trying to do business with these guys, there's other people trying to throw sort of spanners in the works and and get in the way of your deals and stuff. So let's move quietly rather
Mhm.
than let's come out with a surprise when it's time to come out with a surprise, and let's have it the biggest impact we can.
Man, so I sort of just want to finalize a couple last questions before we end the interview. We've
Yeah.
had only two events so far this year. We understand there's been a couple cancellations. So, in your vision, in your perfect mind, what could we expect by the end of 2025? What would you like to see from Misfits?
Well, I would like to see steady growth. The numbers keep coming, going in the right direction. I'd like to see that. I would like to really, really fix the consistency, um, so people know what to expect, to a degree, and obviously sprinkle that with some nice surprises. But in terms of it, it's good to psychologically prepare and know, hey, on November 2nd, they're coming to my city, or they're coming to my state, or
Mm,
they're coming to, and be like, I got to be ready for that because I want to get tickets. Let me save up. Let me prepare. Let me take,
I agree.
let me make sure I'm not going on holiday that weekend, whatever it is. So I think building that up and some additional promotional ideas we have in the works. A bit too early to talk about, but there's a lot of interesting stuff going on and some really really fun partnerships that are in the works too that will amplify that. So I just want to see us be we're the number one in this space, but I would like us to be the number one, two, three, four, five, and just make it put the stamp on it where people can enjoy and know what to expect. And also, from attending a live show, we're going to raise the bar on the experience of
I love
raising
that.
the bar of the production and everything else.
Mm.
That's the plan. That's what I'd like to see this year be implemented, where people come to a Misfits show, even if it's a mom or dad who doesn't have an idea who, uh, you know, uh, Slim is or Jarvis or whatever, but he knows he's coming there with his kids or whatever it is. I want them to experience something so fun that they go and just say, wow, that was more fun than being at any other combat sports event I've ever been to.
More of an
And
event
that's
rather
that's
than a boxing, just pure boxing watch.
I'm talking everything, but we've already discussed the quality of the fights, but I
Mm.
also want the quality of the experience for the individual watching at home and for the individual, especially coming to the live shows, to take away from it and say, wow, I can't wait for the next one. I had such a great night, which we have already with Misfits. To be honest,
Right.
it's a really good vibe, but I want to up the levels on that.
You
I
mentioned
just
partnerships there, Mam. Sorry, Ben. Just one second. You mentioned partnerships there. There's a couple big events coming up, which I'd be curious if you've actually spoken to them about crossing over. You got La Velada del Año, the Spanish event that's run by eBay, and then you got later this year Fame Fighting, which is huge in Germany as well. Is that something that we can begin to expect going forward? To maybe some cross collaboration there, and maybe seeing that happen in the future.
There are conversations, but it's too early to say. But I'm open to whatever makes sense and makes sense for the fans first and foremost. So, we're definitely open to ideas.
I just out of curiosity, one follow up on the subject of increasing the in person experience, making the at home viewing experience better. In terms of specifics, what would that be? Is it better pacing? Is it live acts in between fights? I mean, because again, you know me, Mams. I like trying to define and have clarity.
I understand, but listen, you're great at what you do because you ask questions that people want to know the answers to. But I don't want to give away my secrets, Ben. I've got things that are innovative that no one else has got.
Right,
And I want to introduce them and implement them at our shows. Try some
right.
stuff out, but it's going to put it this way: experience. And another keyword, I'd say the keywords are experience and interactivity. And
Mm.
not in the way you might think, but I'm working on some stuff. You'll see.
There's going to be a golden
Technology.
ticket underneath a fan's seat, and they fight.
Yeah, no, a fan will get to hide from under the ring and come in halfway through and do a cash in the bank. Um, yeah, no, nothing like that. But it'll be fun. It'll be something that the fans can be more engaged with.
I love it. BL, any last questions for Mams Taylor?
Mams, I think the final question I've got for you is, do you have any last messages for the fans, any exclusive for when they could expect potentially an announcement to happen?
Um, you guys don't quit. I'll give it to you. Basically, all I got to say is I'm so grateful for the fans who tune in and who are still excited about everything. And for those who are just they've been waiting for a long time. Thank you for your patience. It's all going to be worth it. There's a lot of really, really juicy stuff coming.
I love it. Mams Taylor, as always, thank you so much for the time today. For the fans back home, hopefully you had some of the questions answered. If not, let us know on Twitter, Instagram. Make your voices heard. For BL, I've been Ben the Bane Davis. We'll see you next time on Misfits News.
Well, it's great to have Mams Taylor on because I think a lot of people had questions of what's going on with Misfits, myself and yourself actually included. We didn't even know what to cover this week. However, Mams told us something that really piqued my interest. He said, we're cutting down the events. We're not going to do as many. We're only going to put stars on 6 events per year. Ben, what is your reaction to this?
Listen, I think it's good. 6 events per year isn't bad. That's every other month. That allows us to effectively build the storylines and really dive into these matchups and these fighters. We're not kind of scrambling on the backside and behind the scenes trying to, coordinate, because there's times where we've had 3 events in a 6-week period, and that's incredibly strenuous on a team, right? So giving us something every other month, I think, would be solid. Now, maybe most fans wouldn't like that, and the big question for me, truthfully, is can we stick to that, right? It's great to say it, but I'm a man of action, and we need to actively stick to these, outlines that we plan. And I understand there's curveballs that get thrown, plans change, and there are just circumstances that pop up that force creativity and improvisation. But I know that the fans are desperately wanting some consistency. And if we are able to hit that 6 events per year and every matchup on every card is intriguing and compelling, then, I think that'll be great. And it seems like there's still a lot left in store for 2025. 3 confirmed events. Mams wants a 4th. So that would give us a really amazing back half of the year so that when we get into 2026, I think most fans wouldn't even remember the March and April cards being dissolved and some of the inconsistency we've had.
I think this is the right pivot to be had. I think there was a point in time where we were just throwing events for throwing events' sake. And I think having a more planned and more rigid process where we're not just putting whoever they want on. People need to prove themselves to be on Misfits Boxing. This really brings it back to when I remember the initial start of Misfits where everyone was a superstar. Everyone wanted to get on and they didn't take it as a privilege. So I think this is a step in the right direction. But as you say there, Ben, words are great, actions even better.
Completely agree with you. Well, that's been the interview with Mams Taylor. Let us know down below what you think. For BL, I've been Ben the Bane Davis. We will see you next time on Misfits News.